Coming up on SBU TV, we take a look at a mock presidential debate and the impacts of cold weather on St. Bonaventure baseball. Hello and welcome to SBU TV. I'm Ryan McDonough.
And I'm Vinnie Bellardini. Equal Pay Day was April 12th. The day represents the full year that it takes women to make the same amount of money as their male counterparts made the previous year. Women earn 79 cents for every dollar men earn, according to the U.S. Census Bureau's median earnings for men and women in 2014. The discrepancy of wages can vary from state to state. Not only do females make less than males, the pay gap gets wider when race is taken into account. So how do millennial women feel about unequal pay?
That's ridiculous. Why does it have to take a full year for me to make the same amount as a man?
Well, that's discouraging, and I don't think that that's right, because if I'm working as hard as the next person, regardless of their gender, we should be making the same amount.
Well, I don't think it will ever be equal, because that's just how our world works.
The Institute for Women's Policy Research predicts that if current trends continue, women won't earn equal pay until 2059.
The St. Bonaventure community was notified on Saturday of yet another sexual assault. So SBU TV caught up with the Chief Judicial Office to find out what actions the university takes after the initial reporting.
The first thing we do is make sure that we connect the student with resources that will be helpful.
Some of those resources include the SAFE unit at the Olean General Hospital and local victim
The university is actually required by through Title IX and now also through New York state law to investigate cases unless the victim requests otherwise.
While the university encourages students to reach out to law enforcement, sometimes the timeline and verdict vary between the legal and campus investigations. Law
requires us to move quickly, and that means that it doesn't matter whether or not something is happening with law enforcement. We are required to move forward regardless of whether or not law enforcement is moving forward, and even if they are.
Gonzalez is a certified investigator here on campus. To become an investigator, faculty and staff members have to take a minimum 2-day course run through a group called ATIXA.
They're attorneys who actually did this prior to Title IX coming out.
Gonzalez also said reporting a sexual assault may be more difficult in university setting, and even if there are no reports, that does not mean there are no assaults.
With recent visits from presidential candidates across upstate and western New York, St. Bonaventure students decided to bring a political race of their own to campus. Natalie Kucko has the story.
In light of the current presidential race heating up, St. Bonaventure's Democratic and Republican clubs decided to bring a mock debate to campus, something that has never been done before. Moderated by SBU's political science professors, the event included student representatives for Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Ted Cruz, Donald Trump, and John Kasich. The debate attracted a great turnout and provided a similar town hall atmosphere as seen in actual televised debates.
Is there anyone on stage, and can I see hands, who is unwilling tonight to pledge your support to the eventual nominee of the Republican Party and pledge to not run an independent campaign against that person? Mr. Trump.
Candidates were asked a variety of questions ranging from immigration to health care and the proposal of a minimum wage increase.
Contrary to Senator Sanders' popular belief, money doesn't just come out of the sky. It has to be generated from somewhere. Instead of promoting minimum wage jobs, we should promote education and a way to better ourselves, not settle for lifelong minimum wage jobs.
Overall, the debate proved to be a fun way for the campus community to interact with the presidential campaign and continue to think about who should be voted for. I spoke with Jenna Maxwell, a leader for the College Democrats Club, who explained the creation of the event.
We're talking about how crazy the election is this year and how there's a lot of misinformation going on in the media about the candidates. So we talked to the College Republicans and they felt the same way, and we decided that it would be really productive for our community to learn the actual truth behind everyone's policies before going out to vote.
Students who were selected to act as candidates respected one another and offered great insight into issues that are considered by the candidates running in reality.
What I've seen in my tenure as governor is that it's best handled on a state level. We cannot take that power out of the state's hands. It cannot go to the federal government. That is not their responsibility.
With the upcoming official election in November and an array of rallies currently held all across the country, St. Bonaventure Democrats and Republicans did not disappoint with the assimilation of the presidential race. For SBU TV, I'm Natalie Kucko.
Don't miss your opportunity to vote in the New York primary election next Tuesday.
One college in New York State has made a change to its public restrooms. The Cooper Union removed gender-specific signage from its restrooms and simply replaced it with a description of what's inside.
It's kind of in keeping with a lot of what we're seeing in higher education today. Kind of a respect for the transgender community and people who don't adhere to one of the binary gender labels.
Could a change like this come to a school like St. Bonaventure? And if so, what kind of risk is involved?
That we're going to start to see options available, that people might opt in. So we might not be going as far as Cooper Union is going with having all restrooms labeled as gender inclusive. But I do think we'll start to see on campuses across the nation the ability to opt into systems or locations where this is a possibility.
I would say if there's not a conversation about why it's happening, there's the possibility of some ignorance from students that just don't understand why it's important to have gender-neutral bathrooms.
Remember that if we keep things the way they are, that those risks have real consequences.
We're trying to make it feel like home for the students. Why not make the bathrooms feel like home? If it's going to be reflected in their regular household, why can't it be like that in a dorm?
Braun added that such conversations have begun with St. Bonaventure's residence department, but he could not give an estimated timeline of when gender-neutral bathrooms would actually go into practice here.
Are biscuits adding pounds to your pet? No need to worry. Entrepreneurs are opening up a fitness center that serves both pets and people. CNN has the story.
This is a normal treadmill, but this one is for pets.
I've never heard anything for our pets like this.
Jimmy Russell uses both with the 7-year-old Rottweiler Marquis.
Good boy. Generally don't put him on there more than 10 minutes because he hasn't been exercising a lot.
When she first said, I think we should have a fitness center for dogs, I thought, okay.
Norma Cooper co-founded the center with Toshi Morell.
There's nothing like it. This is unique.
They started out as a nonprofit rescue shelter.
We thought if we had a business side, it would help to offset the cost of the rescue.
But got concerned over pet obesity.
Almost every family has a pet, it seems like, and obesity is just as unhealthy for pets as it is for people.
Researchers estimate more than half of dogs and cats are obese.
Really, it's just about bringing a service to the community that was lacking.
We can both get our cardio in for the day and be done with it. I can't really take them to the gym on base.
Nearby Fort Knox is another catalyst.
It plays into the business a lot.
That's why they have a daycare and foster pets.
Going overseas or they're getting orders. Sometimes they just can't take their pet.
Their focus is still on fitness.
We're going to offer classes on 2 or 3 nights a week.
There's no other places that do this.
Now we have a series of stories from our broadcast reporting students.
With the New York State primary coming up next week, Nate Discavage takes a look at 2 groups that came together to help get students registered to vote.
In America, when we stand together...
That's what politicians do. All talk, no action.
Courageous conservatives across Iowa and all across this great nation.
And we're going to not allow billionaires and their super PACs.
You want to believe again that wages can rise.
Every 4 years, Americans flock to the polls to elect their next president. One age group, however, never truly seems to turn out. The 18 to 25-year-old demographic has failed to make a strong appearance on Election Day for a good chunk of American history.
It doesn't in any way compare to what turnout was right after the 18-year-olds got the right to vote.
This year, the St. Bonaventure University College Democrats and College Republicans put aside their differences and created a voter registration drive to help increase interest across campus.
It's been a lot of fun. Like, a lot of people in the clubs know each other. We work together a lot. We're all in poli-sci classes together.
So it hasn't been that big of a struggle, but that's probably because Bonaventure is so small and everyone knows each other.
Where did the inspiration to start a voter registration drive come from? College Democrats sponsor Chris Stanley has the answer.
Studies show that when people begin voting early, they vote regularly throughout their lives.
Stanley has even offered to take students from the university to the polling centers on New York's primary day, April 19th.
Every hour on the hour, there'll be a ride over to the voting place at the community center in Allegheny.
For SBU TV, I'm Nate Discavage.
The polling center will be open at the Allegheny Community Center from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Tuesday, April 19th.
The Bonaventure baseball team has had to deal with tough opponents this spring, but the toughest one so far, Mother Nature. Mattia reports.
As if the sport of baseball already wasn't hard enough, St. Bonaventure baseball team has to deal with the effects of playing here in the southern tier of New York and having to play through the cold, snow, wind, all sorts of effects. They got a little spoiled down in Florida, however, as they opened up their season with an 80-degree weather, sun, and not a cloud in the sky.
Yeah, well, we started our season in Florida, and obviously the weather is really beautiful down there, and we got in a few really good days of practice down there, and we were actually quite successful down in Florida. We went 9-2, I believe, and then we came back, and it was tough acclimating to the climate, and it's tough to make the transition, especially with practices and such, and it's tougher to get outdoors.
Legs are heavy, hands are cold, which makes the throws a little bit harder. And I mean, hitting, you definitely switch over to small ball instead of just straight up hit and play.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a disadvantage. Teams that we played against, we went down to Florida, competed in the Snowbird Classic, and we could see that teams that had already been out there for a month or so, been outside taking ground balls, they were definitely a step ahead of us for sure, because when we got down there to the Snowbird Classic, that was the first time we had seen live ground balls, live pop flies, and live pitching outside. So, I mean, they had a step ahead of us. I mean, we competed pretty well, but you could tell that some of the teams were a little bit more refined because of their reps outdoors.
Even though they have to deal with all the toughness and the weather that comes on through here in New York, they wouldn't trade it for a thing. That's the sport of baseball.
There's always hope Mother Nature will give the Bonnies some favorable weather, at least once in a while.
St. Bonaventure offers many different courses, but not many are as culturally focused as Dr. Megan Walsh's class, African American Literature. Here with the story is Justin Peterson.
At St. Bonaventure University, education comes first, but how many classes at this school take a focus on diversity? It turns out there are very few classes which take this focus, which is why Assistant Professor of English Dr. Megan Walsh has created a class for this specific reason titled African American Literature.
Kind of works with it, unpacks that. So yeah, it's very active as a student.
I had the chance to talk to Dr. Walsh about her African American Literature class.
Here in the English department, so the first class to exclusively be devoted to non-white authors and their writing.
Dr. Walsh also explained how St. Bonaventure's English department is sorely lacking in classes similar to her own.
We have a lot of broad survey courses, but there aren't any other courses that are devoted to non-white authors specifically. I mean, we have a world literature course, but even that is a kind of, I mean, depends on who's teaching it, but it doesn't have the same kind of focus that a course like this does.
After speaking to Dr. Walsh, she makes it very clear how important it is that St. Bonaventure, or any school for that matter, have cultural classes such as African American Literature. She has even helped edit and publish a book called The Garys and Their Friends by Frank J. Webb. She also took the time to express her feelings being a white person teaching an African American literature class.
Absolutely not telling the truth if I didn't say it was weird that the only class devoted to non-white literature in the English department is taught by a white person.
From SBU TV, I'm Justin Peterson.
Dr. Walsh also focuses on the literary culture of America in the colonial and antebellum periods.
Most colleges and universities in the Northeast have been suffering a drop in enrollment for the past several years, including St. Bonaventure. Caitlin McClare has the story.
After a large dip in enrollment in 2015, St. Bonaventure's administration is already finding new programs and strategies successful. Vice President of Enrollment Bernie Valento made it his goal to show prospective students what St. Bonaventure is all about. Open houses, a scholars luncheon, and spring into Bonas have all recorded higher numbers in 2016 than ever before.
One of our priorities was to have fewer programs, make them exciting, make them engaging, make sure they could really experience St. Bonaventure firsthand, and I think we've been successful with that
One of the academic programs proving successful is cybersecurity. Partnering school, Hilbert College, will implement their criminal justice program with St. Bonaventure's computer science program beginning in the fall of 2016.
Our goal was to have over 30 applications, about 25 to 30 accepts, and end up with 10 students in our first class, and we're on track to do that.
Compared to 2015's incoming class, deposits increased 34.31%, and inquiries increased 12.77%.
At this point, we're running comfortably ahead. Where we were before, we really made a lot of efforts to enhance our communication plans, work collaboratively across the campus with faculty and staff, and really work together towards a common goal. And the next 30 days can really make the difference, so you're always cautious, but we're cautiously optimistic.
Prospective students have until May 1st to decide where they will go to college in 2016.
Well, that does it for us here in the Coop Lab. I'm Ryan McDonough.
And I'm Vinnie Bellardini. Thanks for watching.